Leave your like here on our Special Stories channel. We have another story that will touch your heart. Watch the video until the end to understand the story. An elderly woman was being abused by her own son, but one day someone recorded everything and called the police. The neighbor heard strange screams, saw something mysterious, and did something unthinkable. Before we begin, leave your like here on our channel. We will always bring special and emotional stories to you. Mrs. Teresa was a very strong, hardworking woman who was never afraid to face the day, no matter how difficult it was. She was always ready to move forward. Michael was her only son, whom she had raised alone because his father never wanted to take on his role. She spent her entire life working to ensure that her son never lacked anything. Teresa met David at a hotel where she worked as a chambermaid. One beautiful morning, Teresa began her normal workday and, upon entering one of the hotel rooms to change the bed linens, she came across a handsome young man. While working in the room, he struck up a conversation with her and asked for her name. They began talking and exchanging glances. She realized that the conversation was getting too far and finished her work and left. The next morning, Teresa was apprehensive about entering that room again, but as it was her job, she could not limit herself. Upon entering the room, she began her work again and saw David, that handsome young man with a beautiful smile. "Good morning, Teresa. How are you? How was your night?" "Good morning, I had a good night, thank you very much for asking." Usually, guests don't talk to chambermaids. Teresa felt comfortable with that guy and soon they started talking about their lives. David was at the hotel for work, as the president of a large and renowned company in the state of Oregon. Between comings and goings, he met Teresa again and invited her out for coffee. At first, she said no, but then she accepted. When they arrived at the restaurant, David began to tell her about his life and what he did for work. She felt a bit insecure about going out with a guy who had a good life, while she was just a simple chambermaid. At the end of the date, he dropped her off at her house and went back to the hotel. When Teresa arrived home, she realized that she was feeling something for David, but that it could be impossible, as she was a poor and simple girl. David went to the hotel thinking about Teresa, her beautiful eyes, and how she looked without her uniform. The next day, David invited Teresa out again, and she decided to confess her feelings. At that moment, David also declared his love for her. At that moment, a love story began. Months later, Teresa became pregnant and was so happy, eagerly waiting to tell David. When she told him she was pregnant, David became furious and blamed her for not taking precautions. "I won't take responsibility for this child. I can't stop my life because of this. It's over between us. You lied to me, you said you loved me and we made plans, but it was all a lie. I don't want to see you ever again," said Teresa. She left crying and worried about how she would take care of a baby alone. Her boss fired her when he found out she was pregnant because the company didn't allow pregnant women to work. Teresa left humiliated and went home, where she called her friend Raquel and told her what had happened. Raquel immediately went to visit her and comforted her with tea until Teresa fell asleep. 9 months later, Maicon, a beautiful, healthy, and chubby baby was born, and Teresa was very happy but also sad knowing that Maicon would never know his father. Raquel went to the hospital to pick her and the baby up since Teresa was discharged. When they arrived home, Raquel comforted Teresa and said she would help her until she could find a job. 6 months later, Teresa got a job as a maid and started to build a new life with her son Maicon. She saved every penny to ensure that he lacked nothing and to provide him with a better future. Years passed, and Maicon became a handsome lawyer. Teresa, already elderly and tired of work, began to depend on her son. However, Teresa's life became a suffering as her son would come home drunk every night and insult her. He would shout at her, telling her she was useless and that he was tired of working to support her. Poor Teresa would remain silent, wondering where she had gone wrong in raising her son. Perhaps the problem was the way she had spoiled Maicon with expensive things, even though she earned little as a housekeeper. One beautiful morning, Michael left for work and his friend Raquel decided to pay a visit to her dear friend. They made coffee and began to talk about their lives. Teresa was happy, but as she remembered what her son did to her, her heart hurt and she broke down in tears. Raquel asked her friend why she was crying, and Teresa responded, "I know you and I can tell something is bothering you. This crying is not from joy, but from sadness." "I understand," said Raquel. "It's because I didn't know how to raise Maicon. Now he's graduated thanks to my terrible efforts and he doesn't value me. He mistreats me, insults me, and even throws it in my face that he has to support me. He comes home drunk every day, shouts and swears, and I'm about to disappear and leave him alone since he doesn't value me." Raquel looks at her friend and notices some bruises on her arms and legs. "Did Maicon do this to you?" Raquel asks. Teresa stays quiet and scared, not answering anything. But when her friend is about to leave, she finally decides to tell everything. One morning, he woke up to make breakfast and take it to his mother. When he entered the room, he found his mother sleeping, but it was strange because she woke up early. When he went to call her for breakfast, he was surprised because she didn't respond. Desperate, he called the doctors, and they gave the sad news: Teresa had passed away in her sleep. She had a smile on her face as if she had died peacefully for having been able to live her last days with her son, who had become a better man. Teresa, a woman who, even though she suffered, never lost faith that her son could become a better man. If you liked this story based on true events, leave your opinion here in the comments, leave a like, share it on your social networks. Thank you very much, and until the next one here on the Special Stories channel.